You think the tale of the fox spirit taking lives is just another ghost story? That creature who left behind a chilling message in the minister Zhu Ermei's manor 3 days till death might be nothing like what you imagine. Let's slip into the fear-drenched eyes of Minister Zhu Ermei and see the truth behind this so-called fox haunting that shattered his beliefs. A fox spirit has invaded the home of Zhu Ermei, the Vice Minister of Justice. It speaks in human tongue, predicts life and death, and even mimicked the imperial handwriting to write on my desk, Zhu Ermei, dead in 3 days. I summoned a revered monk from Mount Longhu to exorcise the spirit, but the fox laughed before the crowd. We bear no grudge. Why destroy my magic? That night, after the monk left, I found damning evidence me old forged decrees, mimicking the imperial script. The handwriting of the death prophecy was identical. The demon is but a manifestation of your own inner guilt. The monk's final words exploded in my mind. I laughed madly as I set my estate ablaze. The fire devoured all the files I'd hidden from daylight, and in the roaring flames, I thought I saw the fox, grinning, baring its fangs. Time's up. It was a late autumn night, cold as a blade tempered in frost, slicing through the intricate eaves and beams of the Zhu residence. The wind sobbed, carrying with it a more chilling, sharper sound like countless claws scratching against the closed non-mu doors of the study. You, Zhu Ermei, a third-rank vice minister of justice holder of the Empire's law, now sit frozen behind your Huangwale wood desk, fingers icy, barely able to hold the weasel hair brush. Cold sweat soaks through your underrobes, clinging to your back. The flickering candle casts ghostly shadows on your already pale face. Your eyes are locked on a fresh sheet of Zhuan paper lying on the desk. It's new, pristine white except for the terrifying characters crawling across it. Ink still wet, the strokes twisted and violent. Zhu Ermei, dead in 3 days. The ink reeked of blood and rot. Each stroke clawed at your senses, oozing malevolence and certainty. But what truly froze your soul was the handwriting itself. Too familiar. The brush, strength, the flourish. The final dragging pause on the word must, unmistakable. It was the Emperor's hand. The imperial calligraphy style. But how could that be? A shrill, inhuman giggle exploded in the silence, like glass shards scraping stone, piercing your eardrums. He is the minister admiring His Majesty's calligraphy? The voice was thin, slick, nauseatingly playful as if breathing against your ear. His Majesty's words are sacred. You'd best start counting down your hours. It was it again. That thing. You snapped your head up, eyes darting around every shadowed corner of the study. Outside the carved windows, tree shadows thrashed like ghostly claws in the wind. The flickering light cast only one warped shadow on the wall yours, nothing else. Yet the stifling sense of being watched clung to you like wet linen. Fear, cold and coiling, gripped your heart like a snake. This wasn't the first time. 3 nights ago, on another cold night, you had been poring over a case involving royal blood, eyes bloodshot from exhaustion. As you rubbed your brows, a soft noise drew your gaze and you saw it. Your cherished imperial gift-a-painting, titled Autumn Mountains, Traveler's Journey, had torn open across the middle like a screaming mouth. Right at the center hung a sharp, mud-caked stone. Filthy water dripped down the scroll, staining the sacred painting. You shouted enragingly to be met with giggles, childlike yet chilling, echoing from beam to beam. No need to be angry, my lord. The voice cackled gleefully. A gift for you. That eyesore of a painting smashed it clean for you. Blood rushed to your head, then plunged you into ice. That spirited desecrated an imperial gift. Worse, it was everywhere, yet nowhere. You summoned every guard, Torches lit, the courtyard sealed tight. Brick by brick, tile by telenothing. No trace. The guards exchanged uneasy looks. Beneath the fear, you caught a flicker of something else out, as if wondering whether their master had worked himself mad. Just as you fought to contain your panic and prepared to report the destroyed painting to the palace, the steward, Zhu Fu, burst into the room, face pale as death. My lord, the vault," he stammered, barely able to speak. "Everything sits all in disarray." A chill seized your heart. The manor vault had 2 layers. The outer held valuables. The inner was different. Deep inside, behind a hidden wall, were several heavy camphor chests. Inside were things you'd spent years collecting, things that could shake the court. Topple heads, leverage, incriminating deals, and worst of all, your drafts of forged imperial decrees used to frame your enemies. Your deepest secret, your last resort. The sword hanging over your own neck. You ran. The iron lock was untouched. The guards saw nothing. But when you unlocked the inner vault, icy dread shot up your spine. The camphor chests were open. Papers, letters, reports, confessions your lifeblood were tossed about like a storm had torn through. The most damning sheet zones, with evidence against high-ranking officials, were scattered on the ground, smeared with dirty claw prints. And on top of the chaos lay a single note. One crooked line of writing that made your blood run cold. "Nice stash, my lord. Impressive handiwork." The handwriting, it was the same as the mocking message, the torn scroll, the muddy stone. Sharp, twisted, brimming with malice. It knew the spirit had found your deepest secret. The world spun. A bitter taste filled your mouth. You swallowed it down. It's over. That thing didn't just see your house. It saw your soul. And it held everything that could destroy you. Vandalizing a royal gift? That could be blamed on a demon. But those other things, if they surfaced, you couldn't even imagine. The cold dread of ruin wrapped around you like chains. Just then, a commotion broke out in the front courtyard. You staggered out, and there your daughter, Zhu Wan. So gentle, so timid, just past her coming of age, stood rigid on the icy stone, like a puppet with broken strings. Her eyes were rolled back, showing only whites, her mouth twisted into an inhuman grin. "Zhu Ermei." A rough, rasping male voice burst from her throat, tainted with sulfur and seething hatred. "Look at your deeds. You framed the loyal, spun lies, spilled blood. Do the screams of the wronged not haunt your dreams? Your time is nearly up. 3 days. You can't escape." The voice scraped like rusted iron. Every word a dagger in your ear and your heart. "One heir," you cried, anguish tearing through you. You tried to rush forward, but that evil aura pinned you in place. The maids around you had already collapsed in terror, shivering like leaves in the wind. "The young lady's possessed. It's a vengeful spirit." The Lord whispers of fear slithered through the courtyard like venomous insects. The servants' eyes had changed. No longer mere fright, they looked at you with raw terror and something else. Disgust. Alienation. The words from your daughter's mouth framing the loyal. Weaving false charges, the howls of the dead, burned like brands beneath your official robes, searing your soul. The reputation you had built for years. Your authority crumbled under those inhuman accusations, like a sandcastle in a tide. "Demon, silence," you roared, eyes bulging with rage. But your voice came out dry and weak. In that moment, it hit you. This was no mere haunting. This was a deliberate attempt to nail you to the pillar of shame. to ruin your name, to make you a byword for disgrace through the ages. The thing possessing Zhu Wan seemed pleased by your reaction and let out another burst of spine-chilling giggles. Zhu Wan's body jerked violently, eyes rolling back before she collapsed limply, caught just in time by a bold maid. She lay unconscious. Cold despair, like the chill of late autumn, swallowed you whole. You stood alone in the center of the courtyard, surrounded by dead silence, fear, and unspoken accusations. The servants kept their distance, as if you carried plague, and a crushing sense of isolation took hold of you like never before. This spirit, it didn't just want your life. It wanted to destroy everything first. It had torn open your most hidden wounds and exposed your filthiest secrets to the world. It knew what you feared, and it knew exactly how to amplify that fear until it consumed you. Your fists clenched hard, nails digging into your palms, a sharp pain that did nothing to quell the storm in your chest. You couldn't just wait to die! You had to strike back! You spun around, nearly stumbling as you rushed back into the study. Your bloodshot eyes locked onto the secret letter the young eunuch Wang Zhong had just slipped in. It came from your most covert spy in the palace. The emperor had caught wind of the ghost rumors swirling around your estate and was displeased. Especially the bits about defiling imperial gifts and possession that shook the very majesty of the throne. At the end of the letter, the warning struck like a blade of ice. Cleanse your house at once. Do not taint the emperor's ears. Those final 4 words, do not taint the emperor's ears, slammed into your chest like hammers. The emperor's displeasure hovered above you like an executioner's blade. This was more dangerous than any fox spirit's curse. The demon's accusations could be deflected, but imperial wrath? That could crush you in an instant. Cold determination overpowered your fear. You seized a brush, dipped it deep in ink. The pressure made the shaft creak in your grip. Thick strokes spilled wildly, edged with madness and desperation. Your humble servant, Zhu Ermei, begs in blood and tears. Foul energies run rampant in this minister's estate. Evil spirits defile sacred imperial gifts and spew treacherous lies, slandering loyal ministers. If this monster is not eradicated, the palace shall know no peace, and the realm may be shaken. I beg His Majesty's mercy send, a high priest from the celestial master of Mount Longhu, to purge this evil and restore balance. I am prepared to die 1,000 deaths. The words, 1,000 deaths, cut so deep into the paper, the ink nearly tore it. You knew this petition would set you ablaze if the priest failed. It would confirm the presence of evil and leave you open to accusations of harboring demons and deceiving the court. But there was no other path. The emperor's suspicion clung like maggots to bone. The demon's relentless assault had cornered you. Only a priest from the foremost Taoist sect at Mount Longhu might offer a sliver of salvation, whether to defeat the spirit or pacify imperial fury. The memorial was dispatched through secret channels, carried to the Forbidden City at lightning speed. Waiting felt like death by slow carving. Tension gripped the entire manor. By day, the servants walked silently, eyes averted, lips sealed. At night, the scratching, the giggles, and the mysterious noises of objects shifting returned. Worse than ever, your prized inkstone was smashed in your study. Ink splattered halfway up the wall. Dead sparrows littered your bedroom door, come morning feathers ruffled. Deaths gruesome. The smell of blood heavy in the air. Worse still, every morning on your quilt, a damp, foul-smelling claw print appeared clear as day. Each incident slapped your face like a silent insult, declaring your helplessness as master of the house. And worse, it was a message to all: the demon was unstoppable. It was here. It was playing with you, tormenting you, waiting for the 3rd day to arrive. Your nerves were stretched to the brink, taut as a bowstring about to snap. Your eyes were sunken, bloodshot. Your hair had turned shockingly white. Fear and pressure gripped your throat like twin hands. Hallucinations, the gang-glowing green eyes in every dark corner, the sharp giggles never left your ears. On the third day at dusk, the setting sun bled red across the sky. The entire manor seemed wrapped in a silence befitting the end of days. You sat in the study like a statue awaiting final judgment. The ink on that cursed note, Zhu Ermei, dead in 3 days, had long dried, but its sting cut deeper than any blade. Time slipped through your fingers like sand. Then suddenly clear, resonant clang of a bronze chime rang out at the front gate. Boundless blessings of the Tao. A voice in tone not loud, yet piercing. It swept away the gloom that had hung over the house for days. You jolted upright, leapt from your chair, and all but crawled toward the gate. The massive vermilion doors creaked open, and there stood a Taoist priest in a faded but spotless yellow robe marked with the 8 trigrams. He stood tall like a lone pine, his face thin and serene, with 3 strands of beard flowing over his chest. His eyes, calm and deep as a cold, ancient well, seemed to pierce through all illusions of the world. A soft, cleansing light seemed to radiate from him, calming the very air. He was Master Lu Jinyuan, a high priest under the celestial master of Mount Longhu. Behind him stood 2 young acolytes, each carrying ritual tools. An indescribable wave of emotion surged in your chest's desperate relief. Bitter fear. Days of pent-up dread all exploded at once. You rushed down the steps, this dignified 3rd rank. Minister dropped to your knees with a thud on the cold stone. Your voice cracked with sobs. Immortal Master, save me. A demon runs wild. My entire household is in peril. Tears spilled freely, soaking the front of your robes. Master Lu gazed at you calmly. For a moment, his deep eyes paused as if seeing through your tear-streaked face into something deeper. He did not reach to help you up. Instead, he placed one hand on his chest, gave a slight nod, and spoke with a voice that soothed the soul. Please rise, my lord. I have come by decree, and I shall do all I can. The evil here is thick, but karma governs all. Let me first have a look. He stepped into the manor. His gait was steady, his robe brushing softly, as if carrying a breeze. Wherever he passed, the choking cold and fear seemed to lift slightly. Servants watched from afar, a flicker of hope returning to their eyes. You followed closely behind, clinging to him like a drowning man to driftwood. Desperately, your voice trembling with rage and fear. You recounted every horrifying event of the past few days. The night scratching, the mocking laughter, the destroyed painting, the ransacked vault, your daughter's possession, the ever-present threat of death. You emphasized the blasphemy of the demon mimicking imperial script, and its slander accusing you of framing the innocent trying to provoke righteous fury in the priest, and a defense of imperial authority. Master Lu listened quietly, his expression serene. Now and then, his sharp eyes flicked to the manor's pavilions, the dark corners, his gaze like lightning. He said little, but when you mentioned mimicking the imperial script and framing, the stillness in his eyes seemed to ripple just faintly. He stopped outside Zhu Wan's room, where she lay asleep, and sighed. Then he went to the ransacked inner vault, glancing over the scattered documents and the note that read, "Nice stash." His brow furrowed ever so slightly. At last, he halted before your study desk. On the desk lay the note, Zhu Ermei, dead in 3 days. The ink was like blades. Master Lu touched the savage strokes with 2 fingers. A faint, chilling residue of dark energy clung to them. He closed his eyes and began to chant softly. After a moment, he opened his eyes and turned to you. In them was a knowing sadness, a calm understanding of human nature. "My lord," he said, voice gentle but weighty. This is no ordinary spirit from the wild. Its hatred is deep, its resentment fierce enough to disrupt fate itself, to blur truth from illusion. It came not for gold, nor power, it came for you. This is your sin, your reckoning. For me, your heart clenched, the chill returned. Master, I have served faithfully for years. I may have erred in small ways, but I've committed no great crime. That creature speaks lies. It slanders and frames. It is evil incarnaturely. It seeks to undermine our court. Please, Master, exorcise it. Destroy it completely, you pleaded, desperate to pin all blame on the demon. Master Lu gave you a long, penetrating look-a-gaze that seemed to strip your soul bare, exposing every dark corner you wished hidden. He didn't argue, only spoke slowly. At midnight, I will set up a ritual altar in the central courtyard. My lord must ensure that all household members remain behind closed doors. No windows opened, no one wandering. This spirit is fierce, it may lash out. His tone brooked no argument. You nodded repeatedly, clutching at his words like a lifeline, though deep inside, his phrase pierced the secrets of the heart, and that all-seeing gaze stirred an unsettling storm. Nightfall descended, like thick ink, swallowing the manor. Silence cloaked every inch of space. Only the cold, steady drip of the water clock echoed like a drumbeat, counting down your doom. As midnight approached, you were alone, confined to your study by Master Lu's strict instructions. The door was barred, the windows draped with heavy curtains. Only a lone lamp flickered on the desk, casting a faint yellow glow that did little to push back the darkness. Instead, it stretched the shadows of the shelves and ancient decor into grotesque shapes like slumbering beasts waiting to pounce. The air felt thick as molten lead. Each breath carried the taste of cold iron and blood. Time seemed frozen. You sat rigid in your chair, spine pressed against the icy backrest, hands clutching the armrests so tightly your knuckles turned white, your ears strained, listening for the slightest sound from the courtyard beyond. Your heart pounded wildly, threatening to burst from your chest. And just as the steady drip of the clock seemed to pierce your nerves, ding! A single clear chime of a bronze bell cut through the silence like a cleansing blade. Then came Master Lu's solemn chant mighty, echoing with divine force. Heaven and earth align, foul energies disperse. Within the hidden void, the great origin shines. Spirits of the 8 directions disperse evil. Let the Tao's energy remain. By this command, obey now. The incantation struck like thunder. Each word carried the weight of mountains, making the window frames hum with vibration. A vast, invisible force erupted from the courtyard like a tidal wave, crashing outward in all directions. The doors and windows shook violently, and the curtains lifted under the unseen surge. A sudden warmth washed through the room, scattering the long-held chilland for a fleeting moment. Even the terror in your chest lifted. Then, screech! A blood-curdling shriek tore through the chanting. It was a sound of agony, hatred, and fury like a ghost. From the deepest pits of hell being flayed alive, the screams struck like needles, piercing your skull. You clutched your ears in agony, certain your eardrums would burst. In the courtyard, a storm had erupted. Howling wind, flying debris, the screech of metal against metal. The thud of something heavy slammed against the ground. It was chaos incarnate, like a battlefield of demons. Amid the cacophony came Master Lu's thunderous commands. Demon, submit to judgment. The 5 stars illuminate. Cast down all evil spirits and monsters. Perish now! By decree. That final word crashed down like divine judgment from the heavens. Crack! A blinding white bolt of lightning split the sky, lighting your study like daylight. The bolt struck the courtyard squarely. A deafening clap of thunder roared overhead, rattling every roof tile in the manor. Under this divine assault, the wails and crashes suddenly choked off as if strangled mid-scream. Silence fell. Absolute silence. As if the apocalyptic battle had been nothing but a dream. Only the moaning wind remained, damp with approaching rain, slipping in through cracks in the doors and windows. Was it over? You collapsed in your chair, soaked in sweat as if pulled from a river. Your heart still pounded wildly, lodged in your throat. That vision of thunder and divine wrath burned into your mind. Had Master Lu won? Was the demon truly vanquished? Time passed, you weren't sure how much. A minute? An eternity? Then a soft knock on the study door. You sprang up like a startled beast, voice shaking. "Wowho's there!" "My lord, it's me," came Master Lu's calm voice from outside. Still clear, but tinged with weariness. You rushed to the door and flung it open. Master Lu stood there. The hem of his robe was splashed with mud, the edge of his sleeve torn by something sharp. Yet he stood tall. His face was pale, his eyes slightly hollowed from fatigue. "Master, the demon you rasped, desperate for answers." He gave a slight nod, his gaze sweeping over the ruined courtyard. The altar had been destroyed. Ritual tools lay scattered. Scorch marks marred the ground evidence of divine fire. "I have struck the spirit with the 5 thunders. Its soul is wounded, and for now it has fled this place," he said, voice steady. "It is powerful, with deep hatred. Though gravely injured, it is not utterly destroyed. But for the time being, your home should be safe. Driven away? Not destroyed? The relief that had just begun to rise in your chest turned cold. Dread surged once more. "Master, you mean it'll come back? It said 3 days. That's tonight." Your voice broke as the image of that death sentence written in bold black ink flashed in your mind. "You needn't worry, my lord," Master Lu replied, his gaze meeting yours, eyes deep and knowing, reading your very soul. "I have placed talismans at all 4 corners of the estate, and the thunder spell has damaged its essence. The so-called 3-day deadline was nothing but a trick spell to confuse the heart and provoke fear. With the foul energy dispersed, the curse is broken. You need only rest, purify your thoughts. The demon will not dare return." His voice carried the weight of certainty, a power that made it impossible to doubt. Your taut nerves finally loosened. The looming fear of death the worm that had gnawed at your mind seemed to melt away. Relief, raw and overwhelming, surged through you. You could barely stand. Leaning on the doorframe, you bowed deeply, voice choking. "Master, your saving grace, I can never repay it. Tomorrow, I will report to His Majesty and plead for your reward. Mount Longhu shall be honored." Master Lu stepped aside, refusing your full bow. "Vanquishing demons is my duty. No need for thanks," he said simply. He paused, his gaze sweeping once more over the grand yet grim estate, as if seeing through its gilded surface into something far deeper. He turned back to you, voice quieter now, tinged with sorrow. "But remember, my lord, demons arise from the heart. Sin follows karma. Outer evils are easy to banish. Inner demons are not. What happened tonight was no accident. Reflect well. Demons arise from the heart. Sin follows karma." Your heart skipped a beat, as if pierced. His knowing gaze made you feel exposed guilty. You forced a smile, suppressing the discomfort clawing inside. "Master's teachings, I will remember them well. Truly. Right now, you just wanted this priest who seemed to see straight through your soul gone. so you could enjoy your fragile, fleeting peace. Master Lu said no more. He saluted with one hand. This matter is concluded. I must return to the mountain to report. Take care, my lord. With that, he and his 2 disciples vanished into the night. The manor gates slowly shut. The heavy latch fell into place with a resounding clang. With that sound, your strength collapsed. Mind and body crumbled. A wave of exhaustion washed over you, deep and overwhelming. Your legs felt like lead as you dragged yourself step by step back to your bedroom. The nerves you had kept taut for days finally went slack. Fatigue crushed any lingering joy of survival. You didn't even bother removing your outer robe, just collapsed onto the cold silk quilt. Sleep fell over you like a black curtain, dragging you down, but just as your consciousness slipped into the dark. That voice, so familiar it made your bones freeze. Slick, sharp, taunting. A whisper, cold as a serpent, slithered into your ear clear as day. It was back, so close. Right beside your pillow, malice dripped from every syllable. Your blood turned to ice. Your heart clenched like a fist had wrapped around it. Terror flung you upright. Sleep vanished. Cold sweat poured down your back and face. You shrieked, your voice slicing through the silence. The only response was the wind moaning through dead branches. But the chill from that laugh-the-bone deep fear was real. It hadn't left. It was still here. Master Lu's thunder had failed to expel it. It was lying in wait, waiting for this exact moment. The moment you let your guard down. The 3rd night is tonight. The whispered warning came again, soft as breath but cold as death, brushing your ear like a funeral bell. Terror exploded into rage and despair. Like a trapped beast, your eyes blazed red. You tore the quilt aside underneath. There it was, a fresh, damp, stinking claw print, pressed right over your heart. Ah! You let out a beast-like roar as all reason shattered in that instant, crushed by silent mockery and the suffocating weight of death. Master Lu had lied to you. He hadn't vanquished the demon. It was still here. It had come to claim your life. Pure terror and fury ignited the last spark of ferocity buried in your bones. If no one else could help, you'd help yourself. If the priest was useless, then you'd go down together. Like a madman, barefoot and stumbling, you lunged toward the massive rosewood cabinet in the corner. Inside was your last trump card, a heavy ebony box, inlaid with mother of pearl. It was your final lifeline and the root of your deepest fear. Inside were the ironclad secrets you had spent years gathering evidence that could bring down high-ranking officials, drafts of forged imperial edicts, proof of the schemes you used to frame your enemies. Your hands trembled as you fumbled out the key hidden on your person. You could barely fit it into the lock. Click! The box opened. You flung up the lid. In the moonlight filtering through the window, your most prized documents and secret letters lay neatly stacked. You rummaged through them wildly until your fingers brushed against a cold, slender rosewood case. There it was. You snatched it open. Inside lay several sheets of yellow Juan paper, your most successful forgeries of the imperial script. They had brought down former Minister of Revenue Li Yan, dooming his entire family. Every stroke on those pages dripped with your ambition and malice. Hands shaking, you grabbed one of the drafts and then seized the cursed sheet from your desk. Zhu Ermei, dead in 3 days. You had to compare them. You had to prove it. Prove that the demon's handwriting was a fake. Prove it was a spirit slandering you. You needed this proof to fight back against the death closing in to keep your unraveling sanity from snapping completely. You laid the 2 sheets side by side under the pale moonlight. Your eyes locked onto the inked words. Time froze. Madness, rage, terror all. The twisted emotions on your face turned to ice and shattered. Your pupils contracted to pinpoints. Your body reeled back, as if struck by an invisible hammer and slammed against the cold wall. No impossible. Your cracked lips moved, voice hoarse like a broken bellows. The handwriting on both sheets, they were like twins carved from the same mold. The character Zhu Ermei, the hidden strength in the opening stroke, the deliberately stiff corners of the turns, especially the final dot on the word must, the dragging. Hesitating, pause. You had practiced over the years every stroke, carried the unmistakable imperial flair you had so perfectly imitated. Identical. Note this farewell note left by the demonic was even more lifelike than your original forgeries. The chill, the venom, the arrogance bleeding from the characters they mirrored. No. Surpassed your own twisted ambition and darkness. It had perfectly replicated your thirst for power and the viciousness you hid beneath your virtuous mask. Demons arise from the heart. Sin follows karma. The inner demon is hardest to banish. Master Lu's parting words exploded like divine thunder in your mind. Each word burned into your soul like red-hot iron. So all along, the fox spirit the forged, script the thing that pried open your darkest secrets, was never some external evil. It was you, the blood you spilled to frame the innocent, the dread and blasphemy you birthed each time you mimicked the Emperor's brush, the guilt that haunted your dreams, dragging the faces of the wronged into your nightmares, the shame you could never wash away. The real demon had always lived in your rotting, festering, hidden beneath the dignified robes of an official. You fed it. You nurtured it. It used the so-called haunting to tear off your mask and expose every foul deed you'd tried to bury. It copied the handwriting you yourself could no longer bear to see. It wrote your death sentence. There was never a fox spirit. The one claiming your life had always been your own inner demon. Hey. You slid down the wall, body limp, and collapsed to the floor. Hollow laughter spilled from your throat shrill, mad, like a night owl's cry. It grew louder, more frenzied, filled with despair, mockery, and a chilling final release. It was me. It was always me, you muttered, your eyes empty, tears gushing like a broken dam, mingling with the cold sweat and dust on your face. You looked pitiful, shaking. You reached out, dipped your finger in your own tears, and on the cursed paper beside the word death, you scrawled a single crooked word, deserved. The ink blurred into a watery smear. Just then dong, dong, dong! The old night watchman's clapper echoed through the darkness. Third watch. Midnight. The end of the third day. The final chime struck like a funeral bell, pounding against your heart. You jolted. Your empty eyes suddenly came alive. A devastating impulse erupted like lava from the depths of your soul. If there was no escape, if your sins were beyond redemption, then let it all burn. The filthy house, the buried secrets, the self devoured by darkness. You sprang up like a wild beast, seized the flickering desk lamp. The flame danced in the glass as your twisted, feral face glowed in its light. Burn, burn it all. You howled like a demon loosed from hell. Crash! The lamp shattered on the pile of incriminating papers. Scalding oil splashed. Whoosh! The fire burst to life like a devil freed after 1,000 years. It devoured the documents, soaked in betrayal and blood. Flames. Surge consuming the desk, the curtains, priceless scrolls and books. Heat blasted your face, painting you red. The madness burned in your eyes. You didn't retreat, you opened your arms to embrace the fire. Burn, burn! You laughed maniacally shrill and crazed amid the crackling flames. You hurled the rosewood case into the inferno, then fistfuls of deadly letters and scrolls. The fire roared skyward. Thick smoke billowed. engulfing the room of secrets and sin. You stumbled back to the door, choking on the heat. Smoke clawed at your throat, tears streamed, but your eyes remained locked on the flameson, the forged edicts, the fabricated crimes, the hidden deal saw shrieking as they turned to ash. The fire spread fast. It licked the doorway, drove you into the courtyard. Crimson light bathed everything. Screams, cries, chaos servants shouting and scrambling to extinguish the blaze reached you like distant echoes behind a glass wall. You heard nothing. You stood in the center of the courtyard, gazing up at the inferno, devouring everything. Sparks set your robes alight. You didn't even flinch. Then from the smoke-choked study window a shadow appeared, huge, twisting, dancing in the flames. A pointed snout, upright ears, a long, slender body, a massive, bushy tail, a fox. It danced in fire, weaved through smoke, its movements seductive, unnatural. Fina, sharp, slippery voice, oozing with mockery and satisfaction, rang out piercing through the noise and straight into your soul. He, time's up. It no longer came from outside it, came from within. Your own voice, the part of you filled with hate and destruction. Your body convulsed as if struck by lightning. In your fading awareness, you saw only Master Lu's sorrowful, all-knowing eyes, and his solemn words, "Demons arise from the heart, sin follows karma." In the end, it was never something outside that came for you. You looked down. Flames danced along your robe. On your face bloomed a twisted smile, part agony, part release. The fire surged upward, swallowing you whole. The inferno at the vice minister's estate burned through the night. By morning, the blood-red sun lit a new grave outside the capital. No name marked it, only scorched earth and wisps of smoke. A few woodcutters passed, steering clear of the charred ruins. Did you hear? Minister Zhu's estate was haunted by a fox spirit. Not even a priest from Mount Longhu could stop it. In the end, everything went up in flames. One old man whispered with awe. Yeah, that demon was something else. Spoke human words. Wrote like the emperor. They say Minister Zhu was taken by it. Another added voice trembling. Even the priest said it demons come from the heart. Guess the minister had ghosts in his. Shh! Watch your tongue! The old man warned, glancing around. Let's go. This place bad luck. Better stay away. The grave sat silent, the scorched land speechless. Only the wind whispered through the ruins, like a distant sigh. On a crumbling wall nearby, a red fox appeared. It sat silently, the setting sun painting its fur gold. Its glassy eyes reflected the dying embers and fading dusk, deep and unreadable. After a moment, it leapt down gracefully. Its bushy tail carved an arc behind it. Then, it vanished into the border of ash and twilight, as if it had never existed.